Good morning, Nevada, and all our neighboring states. I'm Peter Lycopoulos, and this is the January 12th, 2013 edition of Rural Nevada Today. I had a chance to talk to an old friend this week. Yeah, he's old, but I'll tell you what, he's been a friend for a lot of years, too. We talked a little bit about what's going on, and he said he's pretty much given up on the news. With everything that's going on, I would need at least 15 hours a week to do this show to cover everything. There's just so much to talk about. Unfortunately, most of it bad. We know we've got a bad president. We question the ability of the GOP to hold the nation together. Many of us are frustrated with a feeling of loss and the inability to do anything about it. I know many of my friends don't feel that this is their country anymore, and you want to strike back. But, who do you strike back at? Whether it's your country or not, hey, that's debatable. It certainly isn't the country we grew up in it. But what do? Complain and whine? That accomplishes nothing but bring us down. And believe me, that is what a lot of the powers to be today want. When you go into battle, when you go into war, you always first demoralize your enemy. It leaves them with no hope to go on. That makes them easier to deal with. Now, let's look at what's being done today in the name of progress and political correctness. Celebrating homosexuality. Drugs are not only being considered hip. After all, the current occupant of the White House stated in college he did a little blow on some weed. They've been doing that since the 60s. Now it's being legalized. Why does the left want drugs legalized? Let's look back at history. Remember the Opium Wars? The Opium Wars were fought between the British and the Chinese. The first war was from 1839 to 1842, and then again from 1856 to 1860. Basically, it went like this. The Chinese emperor wanted to stop the sale of opium and the opening of opium divans, the opium dens. Some Chinese wanted opium legalized so that it could be taxed. Does that sound familiar? Well, with the drain on silver and the growing number of people addicted to opium, those Chinese lost in their efforts of legalization. Now, the British responded twice by sending troops to fight the emperor, ravaged the Chinese coast. This opened up trade. Later, France and the United States were brought in. The Opium Wars started the Chinese century of humiliation. China is just now, in the past 20 years, recovering from the Opium Wars that took place almost 150 years ago. Why did the British want the Chinese people addicted to opium? Once again, look back at history. In the entire history, China has never attacked another nation. China has always been the prize other nations wanted, a rich, fat plum waiting to be picked. Every time another nation conquered China, the Chinese absorbed them in, and they became Chinese. Genghis Khan's grandson bore no resemblance to him. Kublai Khan was Chinese. The British, they weren't going to fall for that old Chinese trap. Anesthetize the Chinese people with opium and take away their will to keep their culture, their tradition, and their God. It became easy to control. Sound familiar? Today, the left in this nation, after 100 years of trying, are now starting the same type of demoralization. This week in the nation's cathedral, Episcopalians celebrated homosexual marriage. This week on the Rush Limbaugh Show, you had a story come out that in Britain, they're making moves to make homosexual relationships between a man and a boy acceptable. In the last election, Colorado and Washington legalized the recreation use of marijuana. Do you see where we're heading? Now, how do you fight this? You fight it by not accepting it. Speak out. When you're in a store and they don't carry a product that they used to carry that you want. At our dinner tables, when some enlightened member of our family tells us that we're racist, homophobic because of our views, and we fight this by living our lives. It may hurt, but maybe it's time to cut some of our enlightened youth out of our lives. Let them see if they can turn their enlightenment into cash so that they can support themselves. Stop buying what the stores are pushing. The loss of revenue will change their way of thinking. Remember, we're the baby boomers. Unfortunately, some of us are the problem. But since the end of World War II, all marketing has been geared towards us. Why? We represent the largest consumer group there is. And we're still the largest consumer group. We need to flex our muscles economically. You do that, you're going to be heard. Don't fall into depression thinking that everything's hopeless. Don't be like the Chinese of the 19th century. Had they opened their eyes and stuck with their traditions and value, there's no way the British could have controlled that many people without the use of opium. The Chinese lost because they gave up on being Chinese. Don't give up on being American. Start speaking out. Continue to live your lives like it matters, because you know what? It does. When you see something you don't like, speak out. When you see a freak or slime, call it out. Let them know they're not acceptable. That's what the left has been doing since the 60s. That is why we are now catering to 15% of the population. Start doing positive things. Rural Nevada today, the whole concept is God, country, family. It goes back to your basic roots. It goes back to the family unit. It is back to where we were in touch with the land. You grew your own crops, you hunted, you raised your own animals. There's a difference when you're connected to the land. What's happened is the people in the cities have come disconnected. Last spring I says, plant a tomato plant, plant a pepper plant, even if you're just living in a condo. But to see something grow and bear fruit, you got a house, plant a fruit tree, grow a garden. Get used to seeing what comes out of the ground again and, get connected. Start doing positive things. I'll tell you what, to that end, next Saturday is National Gun Owners Appreciation Day. It's a day to go out and show your pride in the Second Amendment. Go to a gun shop, go to a gun show, go to a shooting range, get out and be active. To that, we're going to have Mark next week on our show as a guest. Mark from the Second Amendment is going to stop by the show, and he's going to be talking about the great things that they're doing, those great things that they've got planned for Gun Owners Appreciation Day. And while I'm talking about that, let's not forget, we've got the Wounded Warriors Project, and out at Second Amendment, now they're up on 4570 North Rancho. Go out there. They're one of the places where you can make a donation to the Wounded Warriors. You also have Mr. D's, Cool Raiders, and the Harley Davidson out on Sahara and Rainbow. So, when you're out and about, you want to help out on this Wounded Warriors Project, stop out. We got some more great things planned, but we'll open that up later on in the future. You'll be hearing about some of the things that we're doing. Now, this is, I'll tell you what, this Gun Owners Appreciation Day, this is going to drive the slime in the media nuts. More importantly, it will show that we're not going to just sit still and lay down and take the new gun control laws. There will be repercussions for any congressman or senator who vote for more gun control. And before some slime in the media takes us out of text and says something about repercussion, remember, repercussion comes in the form of those legislators being voted out of office. The vote is our tool of change. Now right here in Nevada, we've got some good news coming this week. Here in the state of Nevada, we've got two stories. One is about fracking for oil up in Elko. If this goes down, if this happens, it's going to bring an economic boom to us. And kudos to Governor Sandoval for not stopping the wild horse auction. Well, we're going to cover both of these stories after the 6:30 break. So you want to stay tuned and listen to that. But there are some good things going on. And the worst possible thing that you could do is to give up on being active and doing those things that you've done all your life. You've got to continue to go forward. The situation we're in is what the situation is. There's not a whole lot that we can do about it. We can get a little bit better organized, but you continue to live your life. You continue to set an example. Don't let anybody shut you down. Don't change your life because of circumstances. Continue to live your life the way you have. Now, NFL fans, divisional playoffs today. At 1 o'clock today on CBS 8, you're going to see the Baltimore Ravens at the Denver Broncos. Now, the Broncos are a 9.5-point favorite. Then at 5 o'clock on Fox 5, you'll see my team, the Green Bay Packers, at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are a 3-point favorite. Now, tomorrow, you're going to wrap up the divisional playoff. At 10 o'clock on Fox 5, you're going to see the Seattle Seahawks at the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are a 2.5-point favorite, which, 3 or less on these home teams, you get 3 points just for being at home. At 1:30 on CBS 8, you're going to see the Houston Texans, and they're going to be at the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots are a 9.5-point favorite. Wow. We'll see how that goes. Enjoy those games, and, we'll see how this is. And you know what? Give us a call, 702-257-5396. That number again is 702-257-5396. You know what? It's contest time. Now, we got two contests for our trivia contest. To win the $25 gift certificate off the strip, I want to know what state has the lowest unemployment rate in the nation. What state has the lowest unemployment rate in the nation? And for the knife at Cool Radiator, what state has the highest unemployment rate in the nation? Give us a call at 257-5396. That number again is 702-257-5396. We'll be back after this break with your calls.
Nestled on the Nevada-California border in the Sandy Valley sits Two Hawk Ranch. Surrounded by thick, lush fields of locally grown alfalfa, Two Hawk Ranch has bulk and cubes available. If you have not tried alfalfa cubes, let the good folks at Two Hawk Ranch explain to you the value of feeding your horses cubes, and you decide which of these great products you wish to feed your animal. Horse and livestock owners with a great supply of locally grown alfalfa, where you can buy direct from the owner. Why would you buy from anyone else? Call Jared or Kale at 702-723-5375. That number again, 702-723-5375. Or drive out the Sandy Valley and follow the signs. You'll be able to see the green fields of Two Hawk Ranch long before you get there. Two Hawk Ranch. They'll always treat you right.
I like baseball. I love milk. My milk's low in calories and high in vitamins and minerals. My milk comes from cows in beautiful Nevada. Cows and milk are the power behind the play.
Icy cold local milk from your local dairyman gives you that power. Low-fat and fat-free milk are naturally nutrient-rich.
Baseball and milk keep me healthy and fit.
Quality, icy cold, local milk from your local dairyman.
The power behind the play.
Okay, well, welcome to the show. Now, I've got two trivia questions that we're asking for the $25 gift certificate from Off the Strip. What nation has the lowest unemployment rate? For the pocket knife from Cool Radiator, what state has the highest unemployment rate? Give us a call at 257-5396. Okay, caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, I think I have an answer for the lowest unemployment rate.
Sure, go ahead.
North Dakota.
North Dakota's not the lowest.
Not the lowest? Oh,
no,
okay.
It's not.
All right, thank you.
Hey, thanks, and have a great day. Thanks for calling in. Caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, I was thinking the lowest was Texas.
Good Lord, no. No. But thanks for calling in. Okay, now what we're looking for is which state has the highest unemployment rate in the nation and which state has the lowest unemployment rate. Give us a call at 702-257-5396. I need a clarification. The gentleman who called in, not the Texas gentleman, but the other gentleman, will you please call me back? Because I think I got a little problem here. Give me a call, 257-5396. Just call me. Give me a call back. I need to talk to you. I want to make sure about what you just said. Now, don't forget, Second Amendment Gun Shop, 4570 North Rancho. He has a great selection of pistols. They are saying, hey, Khalif, he's got the Jamaican Blue Coffee. So you go in there, take a look at their guns, and check out what they said about Jamaica and a great coffee and what have you. Now, we got a call, and we're going to be taking that call in just a minute. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
South Dakota, Peter, and Nevada.
Wait a minute. Okay. I need to know one thing. Which is the highest, which is the lowest? And I only need you to answer one.
Well, the highest would be Nevada, and the lowest South Dakota.
Okay. Thank you. If you would, hold on, Jim. You got them both right, but hold on. Jim will give you, we can need your name and address, sir, okay?
Okay.
Hey, thanks for calling in. And then we got another caller. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Well, the highest would be Nevada, and the lowest South Dakota.
Right. We got that. Okay, the other gentleman, what you had called in earlier. Hello? Right. All right. Okay. Well, thanks. We got a caller there. One of both. Now we've got the fishing report coming up. Now out at Lake Mead, you've got the Vegas Wash is a prime spot for catching bass. Now, gizzard shad are hanging out in the shallows along the shoreline near the Vegas Inlet. Now they're in a range from 2 to 6 inches, and they're good. They're easy to catch. They're the good bait. Now, trolling at depths of 15 to 25 feet with live shad and then bait or shad imitations are working well. Vary your speed and your depth with your presentation. Now, anglers are catching smaller fish, but you know what? They're also having good success for largemouth and smallmouth bass. So, out at Lake Mojave, one lucky angler took in a 15-pound striper bass near mile marker 52. The fish hit an AC plug. Trout fishing has been steady near the dock at Willow Beach. Following the weekly fishing plans from the National Fish Hatchery. Now, there's good news for boaters who frequent Cottonwood Cove. The final phase of their new marina will be finished, and the dock will be completed sometime next week. So we got some good news for that. Now, at the Urban Ponds, weekly fish plans from the Nevada Department of Wildlife have made Urban Ponds a good choice for day fishing. Limiting these water, once again, is 3 regardless of the fish. Please don't practice catch and release. Okay, now anglers, enjoy it, but remember, those areas, that is for kids or just, practicing with your own equipment. We got a caller. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, I was the one that called, and you said to call back.
Yeah, what did you say about North Dakota?
I said it was the lowest unemployment rate.
You did say it was the lowest unemployment rate.
Correct.
Jim, if you'd get this gentleman's name and phone number, because I want to give him the $25 gift certificate. Sir, I apologize. I thought you said it was the highest unemployment rate.
No problem.
We need both of them, so we'll be both. All right. Well, I'm glad you called back and got me that. So we'll take care of both of the callers today with that. So we want to thank you both and give it to you both. Okay. All right, and that's going to go into our story because we're going to be talking about fracking. The reason why North Dakota has such a low unemployment rate is because they are fracking. Now, we're going to continue on with this fishing report. Kirsch Wildlife Management Area, anglers fishing through the ice report good fishing at Hay Meadow and Cold Springs. Effective baits include glowworms, jigs, glow ice tips. They're all working real well. Now, the ice is about 6 inches thick out at Hay Meadow and Cold Springs. Now, the ice on Dacey and Adams McGill remains unsafe. Temperatures are rising this week, so use extreme caution when you're going out on the ice. Soft spots on the ice may exist. The roads are covered, but the snowpack, it's easy access. It's all packed on. Out at Lincoln County, the ice has been thickening across the lake. The thickest ice is found near the docks on the southern end. Now, ice depth can be anywhere from 7 to 11 inches. Anglers are having good action for rainbow trout in the 13 to 16-inch range. Night crawlers have been the bait of choice. Sandy Valley State Park is going to be hosting a golf, or the Spring Valley State Park up at Eagle Valley Reservoir. They're going to be hosting an ice golf and ice pool tournament on the 19th. Now, if you want to get a hold of the state park, see if you want to get involved in this, their number is 775-728-4660. Let me give you that number again. It's 728-4460-775. Echo Canyon Reservoir, if you want to escape the crowds, is the place to go. Venturing House for Fish on Ice, there's going to be a lot of rainbow trout. They're saying to use night crawlers, not ice, as between 5 to 8 inches thick, especially on the upper end of the lake. You really, really want to be careful. I was reading the different magazines that I read, or different newspapers, and funny thing happened out on Green Bay, not the town of Green Bay itself, but out on Green Bay. You had people ice fishing, and what had happened was you had 10 of these people out on the edge of the ice. A big chunk of ice cracked off and started floating out into Green Bay. 2 of the guys were kind of gutsy. They grabbed their gear and they jumped off. They got to shore. And the other 8 just drifted on out into Green Bay. The ice split again. Took one guy, isolated one guy on one piece of ice, 7 guys on the other piece of ice, kept on going out. Well, they managed to rescue them all, and true to Wisconsin form, they told them, hey, leave your gear, get on the boat, get out of here. Guy gets back to shore after floating out in Green Bay. And he says, hey, this isn't going to stop me from ice fishing. At any rate, when you're out there, be careful with that ice. It could happen anywhere. Now, this week's Fishing Report was brought to us by Cool Radiator.
Is your car's radiator leaking? Does your cooling system need some attention? And with this economy, have you been putting it off? Not doing routine maintenance can end up costing you many more dollars down the road. So if it's been a while since you've had your car's cooling system serviced, or if you're looking for a real radiator shop that can answer your questions, then it's time to stop by Cool Radiator at 3228 Westmead Avenue and let Daryl have a look at your radiator. Daryl will be able to answer all of your questions and explain just how your cooling system works. The good folks at Cool Radiator understand your concerns and they can help. So stop stressing out and stop by Cool Radiator and get some of the small problems fixed before they turn into something major. That's Cool Radiator at 3228 Westmead Avenue, east of Valley View between Sahara and DI.
Well, welcome back to the show. We talked a few weeks ago, and we had, about a month ago, we had Senator Pete Goicoechea on, and we were talking about the sagebrush, or the sage grouse and the problems that they'd be coming up with. Now, if the sage grouse were put on an endangered species list, we would lose probably the northern two-thirds of the state. It would be closed down because you had an endangered species out there. And basically, it would cripple the state of Nevada economically. It'd be a disaster. Now, this happened once before when Kenny Gwen was governor. Kenny Gwen went out and he put together a blue ribbon sage grouse committee and what have you, and things ended up okay. We kept things going. And after the break, we're going to be talking about this fracking up in northern Nevada. They found quite a bit of oil right here in Nevada. If this happens with the sage grouse, you can throw the fracking out the window. It'll never happen. You can also throw out any type of ranching, mining, anything at all, because there would be no access to the land. Well, this week, Governor Sandoval named 12 Nevadans to the council that's going to oversee the efforts to avoid new federal protections on sage grouse. The bird is listed under the Endangered Species Act, could lead to restrictions in development and other activities. Believe me, it would close it off. Now, the people that they named on the board, and the board, I guess, is going to be called the Sagebrush Ecosystem Council. Now, they were Doug Bushelman, Tina Nappy, both of Washoe County up in Reno, Nevada energy official Starla Lacey from Clark County, J.J. Goicoechea from Eureka County, Ellen Biagli, and Jeremy Drew. Now, they're both from Douglas County, Stephen Boys and Kent McAdoo, both from Elko County, and a Jerry M. from Carson City. These representatives represent a variety of interests, including ranching, mining, the energy conservation, and sportsmen. Not voting members of the board, but they'll be there in an advisory capacity. You have U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service people, as well as the Bureau of Land Management and the Humboldt-Seolbe National Forest. Those folks who are the heads of state, that they head those state areas, are going to be there in an advisory capacity. But, we'll see what happens. This is something that's important. And there are some good things going on. And one of them, is the energy that we have, our mining and our use of natural resources. All true wealth, it comes from the ground. It's either mined, it's either harvested by growing crops, but it comes from the ground. It's everything that's the building block for your society today, and everything that we put out is a situation where it comes from the ground. Everything that we do. And this is why rural Nevada, rural anything, is very important to the people, even if you're living in the city. You can't exist in the city without what you're producing in the rural areas. So we're going to be getting in. We're going to be going to break pretty soon. Going to go to the news break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about this oil and gas searches, fracking in northern Nevada. And it is the reason why North Dakota is doing so well. North Dakota only has a 3.1% unemployment rate. It's unheard of even in good times. Here in Nevada, we are the highest. We're at 10.8%. You've got to alter our thinking. During hard economic times, people don't have the luxury to go to Vegas and gamble. But when you get your hard industry, your things out of the rural areas, that stimulates the economy. So we're going to go to break now. When we come back from break, we're going to go into this story.
Eagles fans, looking for a great place for gaming as well as watching all the games? A place where you have daily football parlay cards and gamblers bonus? Then stop by Off the Strip on Tropicana just west of Grand Canyon. Off the Strip has all kinds of football specials including $2.50 domestic draft beer, 10 food items for under $10, and special game fare. So if you're looking for a place that is a step above the rest, then stop by Off the Strip at 9837 West Tropicana. Then you and the Eagles will both have a great season.
Jumping on a trampoline can leave you thirsty, but most drinks out there are high in calories and low in vitamins and minerals and lack a very important thing. The power behind the play. Milk from your local dairyman gives you that power. Low-fat and fat-free milk are naturally nutrient-rich, keeping you healthy and fit. So after all that jumping, ask for quality, icy-cold local milk from your local dairyman. It's the power behind the play. Visit dairycouncilutnv.org.
There's nothing like going hunting, whether it's a big game hunt of a lifetime or just a local bird hunt with close friends. Hunts never last as long as you want them to, and when the hunt is over, the only thing that's left is the memory of that hunt. So to preserve those memories, you mount your game, and every time you look at that mount, it takes you back to that hunt, and you remember every detail of it. That's why, with all the time and effort that you put into your hunt, and getting that trophy, you deserve the best taxidermy possible. Here in Southern Nevada, that means Scott at Great Basin Taxidermy. Scott can do head and shoulder mounts, rugs, full-body mounts, mounts in natural habitat. He also does birds, fish, and small game mounts. So when you need a taxidermist, call Scott at Great Basin Taxidermy. That's 368-1848. That number again is 368-1848. That's Great Basin Taxidermy at 3894 West Spring Mountain Road. Great Basin Taxidermy, creating hunting memories in Southern Nevada since 1988.
Scoring touchdowns can leave you thirsty, but most drinks out there are high in calories and low in vitamins and minerals and lack a very important thing. The power behind the play. Milk from your local dairyman gives you that power. Low-fat and fat-free milk are naturally nutrient-rich, keeping you healthy and fit. So after the big touchdown, ask for quality, icy-cold local milk from your local dairyman. It's the power behind the play. Visit dairycouncilutnv.org.
The phone lines are open. Call Peter now at 702-257-5396.
Well, welcome back to the show. Now, if you got any questions or comments on this, give us a call at 702-257-5396. That number again is 702-257-5396. One of the great things that we've got going, hopefully we can put this off. You look at the different rural areas, and up in North Dakota, they have the lowest unemployment rate in the country. That's why we use that question in our trivia question. They have a 3.1% unemployment rate. And they've got that because a few years back, they started fracking for oil, which is where it's a process where you get the oil out of stone. It's a technology that we didn't have 10, 20 years ago even, okay? Not only has the unemployment rate gone down, but the state coffers are full. They've got a surplus of money. They got money that they're putting away for a rainy day in case something happens. Totally the opposite of what the country's in. And once again, how did they get that way? By sticking to their roots, their traditions, their values, working the land. And the land provided all of this. Everything, like I say, that we have, our building blocks come out of the rural area. Well, now Nevada's in a rare, unique position. We might be able to start benefiting from fracking. Now, Houston-based Noble Energy, Inc. is pursuing plans to drill for oil and natural gas across 40,000 acres of public and private land near the city's wells, about 400 miles. And Wells is up in Area 6 for those of you who hunt. It's about 400 miles north of Wells. The project, it marked the first time that they would be using hydraulic fracking in Nevada. It uses pressurized liquid. It smashes oil and gas from previously untapped shale deposits, and it'll spark a mining boom, and it'll it's also stirring up serious environmental concerns from people from And why are you going? This is something that we should be celebrating, but we're talking about environmental concerns. But we'll get to that later. Now, Noble's plans for Elko County are expected to test state regulators who are more accustomed to dealing with Nevada's historically small conventional oil business, mostly that comes out of Railroad Valley up in Nye County is where most of our oil comes at. We don't produce that much oil, okay? This is going to be an exciting time for us, as Alan Conyer, who's the administrator of the State Division of Minerals. Now, Noble has yet to file any proposals or permit applications with the state, but Conyer said that the company officials have met with his agency, the Division of Environmental Protection, and the Division of Water Resources. Conyer is confident that the state has the necessary regulations in place to address hydraulic fracking, but time will tell if they need new rules or if more people need to be administrators of this large-scale project by worldwide player like Noble. Once again, what a disastrous statement to make. Time will tell if they need new rules or more people. Get out of the way of business. Get the government regulations out and get this economy going. Now, they said we're not a major oil-producing state. We're not the Saudi Arabia of the United States. We do have gold. And guess what else we got? I don't know where it comes from, but hey, we got geothermal production. I wonder how many geothermal production jobs we have here in Nevada. And I know gold, we got a bunch. And mining gives us a lot, and there are good paying jobs. But I wonder how many geothermal production jobs. It's geothermal, solar, wind. Maybe in the future, but right now, we're not getting anything out of it. Now, Noble proposes to drill as many as 20 exploratory wells, more than a mile deep into public lands in the northeastern corner of the state, and is undergoing environmental assessment by the U.S. BLM. The international energy giant hopes to secure the necessary permits and start drilling by the end of the year. This would be such a boom. In a conference call with investment analysts last month, company officials said that they have secured leases in Elko totaling 350,000 acres. They plan to spend $130 million over the next 4 years. They plan to spend $130 million over the next 4 years. That's not government money going to take care of some crony who put money to the election of the president, the current occupant of the White House. This is hard-earned American dollars from evil capitalists. These evil people, they have money. They're spending their own money. Not government money. They're not coming up to the public trough. They're bringing their own money in, and they're developing this. This could produce as much as, are you ready for this? We could be producing as much as 50,000 gallons of oil per day within 2 years. By late 2014, Nevada could be fracking out 50,000 gallons of oil today. That's enough petroleum to match the entire. You're going to get one day, you're going to get as much oil from fracking as the current oil fields in Nye County produced in the entire month or in the entire year of 2012. You'll get that much oil coming out of the fracking operation. Now, Senior Noble Vice President Susan Cunningham put in during the call, we're thrilled with the possibility of underexplored oil petroleum. Nobody's doing it right now. Now, environmental advocates, they're less enthusiastic. What else? Now, you got the fellow who is the Nevada office for an Arizona-based conservation group. We know about this. The Center of Biodiversity. He says that his organization has not yet adopted a position on fracking. My comment is, who cares what your position is on fracking coming out of the Center of Biological Diversity? Now, he says that, there's a potential for poisoning on the groundwater, foul in the air, which leads to chemical spills and other contamination. Has anybody heard any of these problems coming out of North Dakota? Once again, and this is the biggest stumbling block, the biggest hurdle anybody who comes into the state of Nevada has to overcome. You know, you do things throughout the entire country, throughout the entire world, but when you come here to Nevada, we don't know if it'll work. For some reason, Nevada has a different sky. It's got different earth. It's different everything. Well, that might have worked there, but I'll tell you what, it's not going to work in Nevada. Now, we haven't had these problems in other areas, but this is something that we can worry about that doesn't exist. At any rate, he says that fracking is not a good thing and we don't feel it's safe. Great. And we're at almost 11% unemployment rate, the highest in the country. Yeah, I want to thank the Tweedledee and Tweedledum at this time for backing Harry Reid, because I'll tell you what, that seniority in Congress, boy, that really pays off. You can show how well we're doing. We're number one. We're number one in unemployment. We're number one in bankruptcies. We're number one in repossessions of our homes. Start thinking about what is happening here. When it comes to oil, Nevada is largely undiscovered country. Kanye said fewer than 1,000 wells have been dug in the state, and only about 70 are now in production, and they're turning out a modest amount of low-grade petroleum. Generally, it's used for tar and asphalt. Since an all-time high was 4 million barrels back in 1999, the production in Nevada has plummeted to fewer than 400,000 barrels a year. Oil is pumped from the ground. More oil is pumped from the ground in one day in North Dakota through the fracking boom with their 2,000 new wells in recent years than Nevada produced in all of 2012. Once again, North Dakota produces more oil from fracking in one day than Nevada produced in all of 2012. Once again, nearly all of Nevada's oil comes from Railroad Valley in northeast Nye County, and there's no significant record production in Elko County. If this comes out, this could be a boom, and this could certainly change the economy in the state. And once again, I just hope that we don't sit by and let the environmentalists ruin it. But boy, what a different state this would be within 2 short years. Now, we're going to go back from break. When we come back from break, I got a special treat for you. But we'll talk about it right after I get back.
Jumping on a trampoline can leave you thirsty, but most drinks out there are high in calories and low in vitamins and minerals and lack a very important thing. The power behind the play. Milk from your local dairyman gives you that power. Low-fat and fat-free milk are naturally nutrient-rich, keeping you healthy and fit. So after all that jumping, ask for quality, icy-cold local milk from your local dairyman. It's the power behind the play. Visit dairycouncilutnv.org.
Nestled on the Nevada-California border in the Sandy Valley sits Two Hawk Ranch. Surrounded by thick, lush fields of locally grown alfalfa, Two Hawk Ranch has bulk and cubes available. If you have not tried alfalfa cubes, let the good folks at Two Hawk Ranch explain to you the value of feeding your horses cubes. And you decide which of these great products you wish to feed your animal. Horse and livestock owners with a great supply of locally grown alfalfa where you can buy direct from the owner. Why would you buy from anyone else? Call Jared or Kale at 702-723-5375. That number again, 702-723-5375. Or drive out the Sandy Valley and follow the signs. You'll be able to see the green fields of Two Hawk Ranch long before you get there. Two Hawk Ranch. They'll always treat you right.
If you want to advertise during this show, call Peter at 882-2865. That's 882-2865.
Well, welcome to the show. I got a special treat for you, and my engineer, Jim Dallas, had this piece. Somebody sent it to him. I hadn't planned on putting this on. I have heard the piece before. It's a great piece. It's going to take about 3 minutes. I need you to guess who this person is, and then give me a call with your comments at 257-5396. Jim, if you would, put that piece on.
Let's play a game of Who Am I? Listen very carefully to the clues. I was born in one country, but raised in another country. My father was born in yet another country. I was not his only child. He fathered several children with numerous women. I became very close to my mother, as my father showed no interest in me. My mother died at an early age from cancer. Although my father deserted me and my mother raised me, I later wrote a book idolizing my father, not my mother. Later in life, questions arose over my real name. My birth records were sketchy. No one was able to produce a legitimate, reliable birth certificate. I grew up practicing one faith, but then converted to Christianity, as it was widely accepted in my new country. I wrote a book about my struggles growing up. It was clear to those who read my memoirs that I had difficulties accepting that my father abandoned me as a child. I became active in local politics when I was in my 30s. Then, with help behind the scenes, I literally burst onto the world scene as a candidate for national office in my 40s. They said I had a golden tongue and I could talk anyone into anything. I had a virtually non-existent resume, little work history, and no experience in leading a single organization. Yet I was a powerful speaker, and citizens were drawn to me as though I were a magnet. I drew incredibly large crowds during my public appearances. This bolstered my ego. At first, my political campaign focused on my country's foreign policy. I was very critical of my country in the last war and seized every opportunity to bash my country. But what launched my rise to national prominence were my views on the country's economy. I called my campaign a people's campaign. I was the surprise candidate because I emerged from outside the traditional path of politics, and I was able to gain widespread popular support. I knew that if I merely offered the people hope, together we could change our country and the world. So I started to make my speeches sound like they were on behalf of the downtrodden, the poor, the ignorant, to include persecuted minorities. My true views were not widely known, and I kept them unknown until after I became my nation's leader. I had to carefully guard reality, as anybody could have easily found out what I really believed if they had simply read my writings and examined those people that I associated with. I'm glad they didn't do it, because then I became the most powerful man in the world. And then the world learned the truth. Who am I? I am Adolf Hitler. If you were thinking of someone else, you should be afraid. Very afraid.
Next week is Gun Owners Appreciation Day. On Saturday, the Saturday before the current occupant of the house gets reinaugurated into office. Who were you thinking about when you were listening to that tape? You got any comment on it? Give me a call at 257-5396. That number again is 257-5396. So much of what we do on this show, we talk about our traditions. It is so important to remember what those traditions are. And don't think that you're the one who's in the minority. Don't think that you're the one who has something wrong with them. You don't. It's not you. It's what we have been fed by the press and by the agendas that you have in Hollywood. It was funny this week. We had the English-speaking gentleman. My wife Angel watches different news shows. I just put on the Fox News. But yeah, the fellow with the English accent defending the choices by Barack Obama, saying that he was getting the best man for the job. It wasn't just that they were all white, but again, defending Barack Obama would have never happened with George Bush. They did criticize George Bush, but the president was being defended by these people. Okay, and we got a caller, I guess. So go ahead, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
As long as well as me, I thought of President Obama.
I think most people would.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. That is very frightening. I don't know where you got that, and I'd love to have a copy of it.
You know what? Jim, can you email her that? If you would.
Okay.
Just hold on when you go off the air,
okay.
And Jim will get your email address and he can forward it to you. Now, Red and Sally had emailed me that. I know that there are several people that are emailing that around. Okay. I had heard about it, and then when I came in this morning, Jim told me he had the piece. But the piece, it's strange. I don't want to get into too much of the metaphysical, but if you do the similarities between Lincoln and Kennedy, And there were, Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln. Lincoln had a secretary named. I'm sure you've heard that piece.
Yes, yes.
The same thing could be done with Adolf Hitler and the current occupant of the White House. There are so many similarities.
Yes, I found that very interesting, and I'd like to pass that on.
You bet.
Okay, if I will hang on, and I thank you very much. And thank you for your program. I listen almost every Saturday.
Well, thank you very much, ma'am. Thanks a bunch. Take care now. And just hold on, and Jim will take care of you. Anybody else, you got a comment, give us a call at 257-5396. Remember who you are. That's going to be the main part of this. There's a great book, a series that I read. Is Webb Griffith. He has a lot of series out. One of them is Honor Bound series. Now, my wife thinks I'm crazy. I've read these books like 7 times. Well, as of December 31st, Webb Griffith come out with book 7 in that series. So naturally, I go back to book 1 and I read all of it. And part of it has to do with the German military, and it has to do with a lot of what we've seen in the movie Valkyrie, which in this country just didn't pick up. But all the way back to 1942, the German High Command knew that World War II was lost, and they knew that they had a problem with Adolf Hitler. And a lot of what this series Honor Bound does, it's based on a character who is with the OSS, which was the forerunner of the CIA. And it talks about the things that he was going on, but he befriends a German aristocrat, and they start showing how the Germans from 1942 were already working with the United States on what to do about the problem that they had with Hitler. Hitler was not someone who just surprised everybody. He surprised the masses, but just like in this country, people pointed out things about the current occupant of the White House. They did the same thing in Germany, but nobody was listening. Is anybody listening today? I don't know. Is anybody out there listening today? Like I say, you don't need to be depressed about what's going on. You just need to be vigilant. But most of all, you need to be you. Now, it was a story that I was going to cover in this segment. I guess I'm not going to have time to get to it. Last Tuesday, there was an auction on wild horses in Fallon. Some of the environmental people, some of the wild horse advocates, they tried getting Governor Brian Sandoval to intervene, and he didn't. He let those 41 horses, there were stray horses that were trapped by the Department of Agriculture on state-owned land near Virginia City. He let them be auctioned off. To me, I think it was a good thing because, the wild horse people came up with all kinds of things that they wanted to do for the horses. We've had a wild horse problem for about 25 years now. After 25 years, a couple of days before the auction, these folks from the left, these environmentalists, they jump up and down, and they want to do all kinds of things. It's a little late in the game, folks. But, it's an example, and it's worth mentioning. It's an example of the governor standing up and doing something that might not have been popular, but it was the right thing to do. And that's what we got to go back to. We've got to go back to doing the right thing. Not the easy thing, not the politically correct thing, but the right thing to do. The thing that makes common sense. It's like when your mother used to make you eat vegetables and tell you had to do your homework and study. There was a reason for it. We've gotten away from those moral things in this country. We need to get back to them. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we'll wrap it up.
Scoring touchdowns can leave you thirsty, but most drinks out there are high in calories and low in vitamins and minerals and lack a very important thing. The power behind the play. Milk from your local dairyman gives you that power. Low-fat and fat-free milk are naturally nutrient-rich, keeping you healthy and fit. So after the big touchdown, ask for quality, icy-cold local milk from your local dairyman. It's the power behind the play. Visit dairycouncilutnv.org.
Is your car's radiator leaking? Does your cooling system need some attention? And with this economy, have you been putting it off? Not doing routine maintenance can end up costing you many more dollars down the road. So if it's been a while since you've had your car's cooling system serviced, or if you're looking for a real radiator shop that can answer your questions, then it's time to stop by Cool Radiator at 3228 Westmead Avenue and let Daryl have a look at your radiator. Daryl will be able to answer all of your questions and explain just how your cooling system works. The good folks at Cool Radiator understand your concerns, and they can help. So stop stressing out and stop by Cool Radiator and get some of the small problems fixed before they turn into something major. That's Cool Radiator at 3228 Westmead Avenue, east of Valley View, between Sahara and Dion.
If you want to advertise during this show, call Peter at 882-2865. That's 882-2865.
Well, welcome back to the show. Now, listen, I want to make one mention of something really positive come out of the Journal-Sentinel out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They just hit a new bow hunter record. They got a 12-point buck with 2 sticker points. It come out of Fond du Lac County, and it scored 200 1/8 inch. It beat out the old record by 1 6/8 inches. So congratulations to that hunter out there. And they do have a new archery record. So, hey, you know what? Those are the type of things you got to celebrate. The things that are our tradition. It's important today. Don't think that football's trivia. Go out there, enjoy the games. You're going to have a great game. Celebrate your life. Celebrate those things that you always have. And we'll keep talking here. We'll keep pushing what we've always been pushing. You know, our traditions, our values, our God, do those type of things. I want to thank everybody for calling in. Ma'am, I want to really thank you for calling in with your comments. And Jim is going to get that emailed out to you. So enjoy that. Enjoy your day and enjoy the games today. And once again, like I said, I want to thank everybody for calling. That's it for us. We're going to be wrapping it up, but I do want to thank everybody for calling. And don't forget, next week we're going to have Mark from Second Amendment. And we're going to be talking about Gun Owners Appreciation Day. That is next Saturday. Talk to you next week.
There I was, back in the wild again, and I felt right at home where I belong. I had that feeling coming over me again, just like it happened so many times before.